The 1995 Rugby World Cup is one of the defining moments of Nelson Mandela's legacy for white South Africans. Fans at Johannesburg's Ellis Stadium began chanting as Mr Mandela walked out onto the field wearing the Springboks jersey. At that moment, the Springboks changed from representing white South Africa to the whole of South Africa. One man who was there was IanMellett. He now runs the Springboks Supporters Club of New Zealand, perhaps a very lonely job, and he joins me now live from Auckland. IanMellett, what did that moment at the Rugby World Cup mean for you?
Kim, it was quite incredible because there was a fantastic day in South Africa's history. Obviously, it was a beautiful, heartfelt afternoon, not a cloud in the sky. A Boeing 747 came over low just before the game. Quite incredible. And then the two sides came onto the field with Fitzpatrick and the All Blacks, Pienaar in the box. And soon after that, the dignitaries walked out. And unbelievably, Nelson Mandela had a number 6 shirt on and a Springbok peak. And it was just quite surreal, to be honest. Very difficult to explain the emotions going through one at that point in time. And I don't think you could probably comprehend it properly at that stage. It was only after the game and probably weeks afterwards that the true significance of that really hit home, I think, to most people around.
Because Nelson Mandela had recognised, had he not, the power of rugby and what it would mean for him to reach out to the Springboks and to wear a jersey that had previously symbolised only white South Africans.
Absolutely, and I think that was the nature of the man, the quality of the man and the foresight that he had, because rugby had, up until that stage, been predominantly a white-played sport, and he probably realised that as important a role as what it did play in South African society, that if he could utilise that and use that to galvanise a nation, so to speak, that he probably would have another significant piece of armoury in his arsenal.
We've got some of what the Springboks captain said at the time, IanMellett. Let's just have a listen to that.
And then we had 65,000 South Africans here today. Tremendous support.
David, we didn't have 60,000 South Africans. We had 43 million South Africans.
That's the Springboks captain at the time of the 1995 World Cup there. IanMellett, when you heard the captain there acknowledge that it wasn't just the people in the stadium who were behind the Springboks, it was now the whole country.
I spoke to someone earlier today and I quite clearly recall Francois saying exactly that. Francois Pienaar, ironically, was an LLB student in my LLB class in 1991 at the Rand Afrikaans University. I never knew him personally, but I certainly knew who he was. And it was absolutely poignant what he said, because that was exactly right. The reporter took it on the chin. He hadn't asked a smart question. It was just that Francois had obviously thought about and came back with a magnificent answer, because that's truly what it was about galvanising and crystallising the Rainbow Nation at that stage. And it wasn't 65,000 at Ellis Park on the day. It truly was 43 million. So a fantastic moment, you know, and well said, Francois.
Up until then, what had it been like growing up in South Africa?
Oh, Kim, you know, and honestly, I speak for myself here. In fact, this whole interview is about myself and what my views are. I don't represent any professional or other sporting or other body. I was just approached earlier today as a probably representative of the South African community in this country, and the views are mine. And I suppose it's difficult because I've come totally unprepared and I'm not really expecting or knowing what questions to get, so I'm talking off the cuff here. But South Africa was a fantastic country to grow up in. I mean, we lacked for nothing quality of education, socially wise, everything that was given to us. And I suppose at that stage as a white South African, you were slightly brainwashed because you didn't know any better, and you weren't really acutely aware of all the racial prejudices and things going on around you, and became only aware of those more acutely when you grew older. But at that stage, it was truly a great country. And I suppose at that stage, Mandela had been released from prison and had become the first democratically elected president in South Africa in 1994. And that truly, obviously, was a significant moment. Won the Nobel Peace Prize, I think, with F.W. de Klerk in 1993. Yes. So, yeah, it was just a fantastic sort of moment for that country. The flag had been changed from the old flag to the new flag, and so there were a lot of things going on. And all of a sudden, this magnificent tournament, you couldn't have asked for a better ending in terms of the All Blacks and the Boks playing in the final. And, yeah, it was a fairy tale come true, I suppose, at that point in time.
All right, well, I'm glad you've got so many good memories of it all. IanMellett, thank you very much for joining us live from Auckland today.
Thanks very much, Kim. Thanks for having me.